Hello, thank you for joining in. So, today we are going to learn about the most scary, dreaded, and interesting topic in R, which is non standard evaluation using dplyr. I guess you guys must have heard about it at least once if you use R on regular basis. So, let's first understand what non standard evaluation is with the help of an example. Because honestly, I think this topic is very difficult and can be confusing. So I want to explain it with the help of an example so that it's easy to understand. So let's start. We are going to take standard empty cast dataset. So in dplyr, when we use functions like select or arrange, let's say we arrange by cylinder column, which is this one. Right, so first it gets arranged by 4, then 6, and then 8 in the second column here. Here we pass argument to arrange function cylinder as an expression, as something which is not a value basically. So there are two ways of passing arguments to function, one which is value and another one which is expression. So here arrange understands that when we are passing this cyl cylinder column as an argument to this function, it understands that it is in reference to empty cast dataset, right? So this is one way in which we can define passing value as expression rather than value in a function is a non-standard way of evaluating a function. So the standard way is basically when you pass values directly, like 4, 6, these are values. So that is a standard way of evaluating function, and when we pass arguments as expression, then that is called as non-standard evaluation. This might still be confusing. I am going to take this example further to explain the definition of non-standard evaluation. So in this empty cast dataset, let's select rows where mpg column, which is the first column, is greater than the mean of the column. So using dplyr, we can do that as empty cast filter mpg greater than mean mpg, right? Makes sense that select columns where it is greater than the mean value of mpg column. Okay, so it returns us this data set. Just to make sure what we are doing here, let's calculate mean of mpg column, which is 20.09. So we can see that in mpg column all the values are greater than 20.09. So we are selecting rows where mpg column is greater than its mean. Let us put the same command in a function. Let's say we call it as select rows. Where we pass data, and now instead of empty cars we replace it with data. Rest all remains the same, right? Where mpg is the column name and all. Okay, so let's get this function running. Now when we run select rows empty cars, it runs properly. It gives us the same output which we had previously here. So this output is the same as here, right? So this is fine. Now let's go a step further, and instead of fixing mpg column here, let's make it dynamic, meaning that you can pass a column name to the function and it should select rows in the data frame where the column value is greater than the mean. Let's add another parameter here, call. So we can pass the column name and then it should be greater than that column. What do you think I should replace mpg with? Call. Yeah, that's an obvious choice which we can think of because we replace data empty cars here with data. So we think replacing call here with call should work, right? Let's see if it works. And let's pass mpg. Okay, it gives some error, not sure what that is. Okay, what if we pass column name as string like this? Will it work? No, it returns an empty data frame with all the column names. So we cannot make this filter dynamic, and it doesn't work with both of these commands. Okay, so now let's move ahead and try to find an answer to this. So in our attempt, you might have realized that there are two ways in which you can access a column from the data frame. This is called as unquoted column names. So because mpg is the column name in empty cars and we don't quote it, that's why it is called as unquoted column name. Whereas this is the quoted column name where we pass it as a character, as a string. So there are two ways in which you can access the column. This is unquoted and this is quoted columns. So let's start first by passing column name as unquoted. Why? Because most of the functions take column names in unquoted way. So for example, the first example which we took here, so you could see that cylinder here is an unquoted column name which we are passing. We do not pass it as string, right? So we pass it as unquoted column name and it works. So most of the times we'll need function where we pass in unquoted column names. So for this to work, let me introduce you to curly operator, which is this one. So if you add the column name like this, you can use curly operator basically to pass unquoted column names in a function. So previously in dplyr there were different ways, or in dplyr or in tidyverse there were different ways in which you could pass unquoted column names to the function. But since tidyverse keeps on evolving and they keep on changing a lot of functions, so I'm going to focus on only on the latest functions which are working as of now while uploading this video. Yes, here we can use curly, and basically if you change call with this curly and it should work. So this is very easy. Let's run this function, and now when we run this, great, so we get all the values in empty cars which is greater than 20.08, right? That was the mean of mpg, right? Notice that it is the same output as this. Right? So these both are the same output. And what we did here is just replacing the column name inside curly brackets. We can pass unquoted column names in the function which will be evaluated as column names. So a tidy way to do this would be empty cars select rows mpg. So we can also pass another column name now. So let's say HP. It will work the same way because mean of HP is 146.68. So everything greater than 146 you'll see here 175, 245, 180. So these are all values greater than 146. So in this way we have made our select rows function dynamic. Now next version is, let's call it select rows unquoted, just to be clear. So this works for unquoted column names. Let's make another version of this function which will work with quoted column names. So this function would be used when we pass column names as characters. So for that, we need to convert the character value which we pass to symbol, and we need to evaluate it. To convert this character value to symbol, we can use the sim function. So this will convert this character value to symbol, and now to evaluate we have to use bang bang operator. I know it's a weird name maybe, but you have to blame Hadley Wickham for that. So first we convert this quoted values to symbol using same function, and we use bang bang operator to evaluate it as column name here, right? So once we do this, now we can run this. Sorry, not select rows, it should be select rows quoted. Yeah. So here you can then also pass HP. Just to verify, let's see, empty cars filter HP greater than mean HP. Okay, so with identical we can make sure that the output of this function versus the output of this returns the same, so our function works correctly. So these are just basic operators. I think it will get you started into this. There are also advanced operators. There are multiple things which you can do with this. These are the two basic methods which will help you write functions. You can do many more things with non-standard evaluation. In case if you have any feedback for the video, please feel free to comment on the video. And thank you for watching. See you soon.